Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tronage, and today we're going to be talking about Quadbox for June 2020. Want to check it out with me? Then you're going to have to stick around. Quadbox June 2020. We're going to be digging in and we're going to be checking out what is going on inside. And I'm super excited to open this box up because last month, both for Quadbox and FPV Crate were a little lower in value than I've come to expect from both boxes. And if you missed that, you can check the link up there and you can see my comparison between the two boxes for May. But now here we are in June and Quadbox is first in the gate. My FPV Crate box actually kind of went MIA. I'm checking the tracking. It looked like everything was going good. And then it kind of just stopped and sat somewhere for a very long period of time. So got in touch with them and I should be getting my FPV Crate replacement very soon. When that comes in, we'll be comparing it to this, the Quadbox, but that's what we're going to be doing today. So what we're going to do, bring you all in close. We're going to open up this box, see what's going inside, give you my genuine reactions as I see them. Then we're going to do a cost analysis to go over what it cost and what kind of value you got out of this box. And then we'll just talk about it and, you know, give you my thoughts about all this stuff. But before we do any of that, slam that subscribe button. While you're at it, hit that bell icon. Makes finding my videos a whole heck of a lot easier. Helps support the channel and it keeps you in the know when I post videos like this one. All right, guys, why don't you come on in? Let's crack it open. Quadbox. Huzzah! All right, I don't know what that was, but let's flip it over anyway, and let's cut that seal, and let's get into what's going on inside this box. Give that flap a little bit of a pre-open there, turn this up, getting it ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. All right, wowee kazowie, we got some cool stuff in here. All right, let's start off with these dowel props. So this is pretty cool. These are basically the foldable props. I have not played with these yet, and I've been dying to get into these. So let me show you the tag first so you get that information on you. And basically the way these work, which I was very intrigued about these, because if you think about it, when you're trying to store a prop, it can take a lot of room. But these foldable ones, you know, you got these, like, the little blades are separate, and then you got the hub, which is separate, and you basically kind of, like, you know, put it all together. I'm not going to do it, but you know what I'm saying. You put it all together so that the props and the hub can kind of like do their own thing. It makes transporting your quad with props on a whole heck of a lot easier. It makes storing props a whole heck of a lot easier because if you think about it, you know, look at how much room this bag, I mean, I can easily roll this bag up into like a nothing size here. Now try to do that with a normal 5.1 inch prop. So that is pretty cool that we got these props. So they are the dowel prop. They're the 5.1 folds, the F5s, and they're the purple and green, which is awesome for the Tronage colors, I have to say, because that's really kind of, you know, if you look at my logo, it's kind of where the colors are. So I'm happy about that. Very cool. So we got 3 packs of those. I am very excited to give those a try. Next up, we got this guy over here, which is a Transtech F7 flight controller. Pretty cool. Digging that. Here's your informations. If you want to see all the infos on that. Very cool. Always can use a good F7 flight controller. And we got a shirt. Oh, we got some goodies underneath the shirt. Hold on here. Let's take those out first and see what we got under the shirt here. So we got a coupon code here for Quadbox. We'll put that to the side. We got the cheat sheet I don't want to look at. We got, looks like, I don't know what this is. Okay, this is going to be ND filters, and there's 3 punch out. So this is basically looks like an ND filter. My guess is going to be for GoPro. There's 3 of them on here, so that you can that are in this film. I don't think you're going to be able to see it. Maybe if I get the reflection just right, you might see the die cut of the 3 of them. Not really. Not really, but there are 3 on here. So you have 3 ND filters. We have the sticker sheet. Really cool. Very cool. I'm digging that sticker sheet. And we have the t-shirt. Let's crack this open. That's nice. So basically it's a Rotor Riot shirt. You can see, I'm gonna pull it down this way a little bit. There you go, there's your graphics. Kind of washed out a little bit because it's kind of bright and white. It's got some yellow on there, which is kind of getting washed out in my lens here, but let's see if I can fix that. There you go, if I turn down my brightness a little bit, you can see the graphics and the color. Pretty cool stuff. I'm gonna turn that back up though, because that's not where I want to keep my brightness. There you go. So, to recap, we got the shirt, we got the F7 flight controller, we got a sticker sheet, we got some ND filter thingies, we got some Dalprop foldable props, and that looks like it's it. Let's run some numbers and see if this box checks out. And now it's the time that you've all been waiting for, that awesome, thorough cost analysis. So there you go. First off, we got those Dalprop foldable props, and I think these are super, super cool. I have not flown them yet, but I think the actual design and concept of them is amazing. When I saw like foldable props on like the DJI, like the Maverick and stuff, and I saw how you could fold up the props and make it all nice and put it in a carrying case, and you didn't have this big round, well, you know what I mean by round, but you know, 3-pronged props that are rigid, and it just makes carrying it a lot easier. It makes putting them in your gear bag as a spare prop a lot easier, and I just feel it solves a lot of problems. And I love that design. Now, I do have my hesitations that it may have, you know, with every positive can usually come a negative. So it'll be something to test out and try. I will be doing a separate video just on those with my first impressions, so I don't want to get too in depth in that. If you want to check out my first impressions, how to build them, how to put those props together properly, how to use them and all that fun stuff, you can check the link over there. And if nothing popped up, it means I haven't posted the video yet. But if you see something pop up over there, that means the video is now live. You can go check that out. But I'm very curious about them, and they will warrant some additional testing. And that's the one thing I love about these mystery boxes in general, is that it gives you things like these props that you may or may not want or have bought or even knew existed, but yet they're given to you and you're like, oh wow, this is really cool, and it lets you try out stuff. And if it turns out you love them, then you know, I'm gonna go and buy more of these. If it turns out you hate them, then no harm, no foul. You don't have to worry, you got to try them out, and then you move on with life. Next up, we have that Transtech F7 flight controller, and what's really cool about this is it is a 20x20 mounting hole pattern, which is, in the little cheat sheet they refer to it as the Nano. It doesn't say that on the label here, but it does say 20x20 mounting hole. So this is, you can put this into your tiny little smidgy builds, and that's kind of crazy that they can fit a whole, you know, F7 flight controller onto a little 20x20 mounting hole pattern. Now, what's even cooler that I figured out, and it really wasn't that much to figure out, was last month in Quadbox, we got the Transtech ESC with a 20x20 hole mounting pattern. So guess what? You got it. If you've been a subscriber to Quadbox, you now have your stack, at least, you know, most of it. You know, you don't have your receiver or any of that kind of stuff, or your VTX, but you have the meat and potatoes of a matching pair of a F7 flight controller and a 25 amp ESC, all in one. So I think that's really cool that things are all kind of coordinated and are matching sets, so that as you go through and you get these boxes, you can actually put something together and it's not so much of a hodgepodge. Now, I can't guarantee that'll always be the case, but I definitely feel like there was at least some forethought or some, you know, something involved to be putting these together, because now you have two matching, an ESC and a flight controller, both 20 by 20 hole pattern, both the same brand, both will clearly work with each other, and both really cool. Now, the other thing I noticed about this F7 flight controller does have it labeled as HD on it, and looking up, it looks like it's kind of a little bit more, I mean, I don't think it's required that you use it with the DJI digital setup, but it seems like it's heavily leaning that way, in that you can kind of plug and play this right onto the DJI setup, which I don't, but I wish I did, but I, you know, kind of expensive, so I don't have one, but who knows what the future may hold. But that being said, it's still cool to have this, and, you know, definitely going to use it either in a build, or maybe if I do someday get that DJI system, maybe I'll use this with that. So I think that is really cool and an awesome product to receive in the box. So now with this shirt, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with this shirt. I mean, the color is a little bit lighter than I would like. You know, I'm more of a fan of the darker colors, but it's still a nice shirt. I'm still gonna wear it. And what's also cool is in the graphics, there's, I just feel like there's a lot of like little hidden things that if you're not really paying attention, you may not notice. Like there's sort of like that eye logo over here in the GoPro, kind of reminiscent of the Ladrib thing. And then there's this dude over here which has a shirt that says Know It All on it, so maybe that's like supposed to be like Bardwell or something on there. So, you know, you kind of like, there's a couple little things that you like look around, you're thinking, oh, okay, this kind of like, you know, there's a little bit of like Rotor Riot action of the Rotor Riot crew, all kind of, you know, hidden into that shirt. And also even like, I don't know if it's supposed to be, but like, for example, the props on it are, you know, not, they look like foldable props, because all three blades are facing one direction. They're not in a normal, you know, pie shape. They're all pointing down. So maybe, you know, that's some of that also, that we have these foldable props in this box. I don't know. I'm just looking at it and thinking, okay, maybe that's what that is. But in any case, very cool shirt, high quality, silk screened, looks smart, like it a lot, and I will be wearing it all the time. And last up, you know, you take these things for granted, but these ND filters, and they're actually pretty good. It looks like a nothing thing, but really, these are pretty valuable. And let me explain a little bit, just a tiny little brief on what ND filters are. So these are ND8 filters. So what is that? What is an ND filter, first of all? An ND filter, just think of it as sunglasses for your camera. Now, why do you need sunglasses on your camera? Well, because when you're running a camera on your quad, let's say you put a GoPro or something and you're flying around, it has to compensate for the amount of light there is coming into the camera. So if you're in a sunny part and then you move to a shadowy part, it needs to adjust what's going on in order to make the light about the same. One way it does this is through shutter speed. Think of a shutter speed as how often the shutter opens to take a picture and then closes again would be your shutter speed. Now, the longer that shutter is open, or slower shutter speed, the more light that can come in per exposure. Just bear with me. It's kind of like, you'll understand. The faster it opens, the less light that comes in, because it's open for a shorter amount of time. So it's opening faster. So if I do slow shutter speed or fast shutter speed, you see for each frame, the camera is opened more or less. Now, when it's bright out, because there's so much light, it can actually run a higher shutter speed, because by the time it's open only for a short period of time, but the light is so bright, it does the exposure, moves on to the next frame. With dimmer light, it has to stay open longer because the light isn't as bright to make the exposure. So that for everything to be equal, in a darker environment, the shutter speed is slower. Now, Where does an ND filter come into all this? Well, I'm going to explain. If you have a little slower shutter speed, if you open it slower and there's a little bit of movement while it closes, guess what happens? You end up with a slight little bit of a thing called motion blur. And this is sort of why people like 24 frames per second to have that cinematic look versus like 30 or 60 frames per second, which has a almost unnatural, they call it the soap opera look in normal video. So that motion blur makes the footage look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, especially as you're flying at something. You're going to see the sides are going to be kind of a little bit blurry to almost add that feeling of increased speed because things are going so fast that they're blurry versus your main target in the center as it's approaching. So it gives the effect of just it's a more pleasing look, and it just makes things look like you're moving a little bit faster. But how can you run a slower shutter speed in bright sunlight? You can't, because if you turn your shutter speed too low, your footage is going to be all washed out and too bright, and you're not going to be able to use it. That's where an ND filter comes in. Here's where it all comes together. When you put an ND filter on your GoPro, now you can film in sunny light, but use a slower shutter speed. So ultimately your footage exposure-wise looks perfect, but you now have a little bit of motion blur, which kind of makes the footage look more smoother and a little bit faster, which is, you know, when you're flying, that's kind of what you want it to look like. So that's the advantage of these. And the other thing you need to know is that these are an ND8 filter. What is that? ND stands for neutral density, and then the number at the end signifies basically how dark the sunglasses are for your camera. So let's say, for example, you can have an ND4, an ND8, and an ND16. What does the 4 mean? Well, it means like 1/4 for an ND4, 1/4 of the light hitting it makes it through. So if you have 100 light units coming in, then 25 light units would come out. It's 1/4 of the light comes through. ND8, 1/8 of the light that hits it will make it through. ND16, 1/16 of the light that hits it will make it through. So obviously, if it's the more light it cuts out, the darker the filter would be. And really, which one is right? Really, it depends on the type of flying you're doing and what the sun looks like that day. But an ND8 filter, I think, is pretty much a good all-around use. And what's great about these is they're stick-on. They're peel it off like a sticker and stick it on. So that's great for, you know, someone who maybe doesn't have a brand new GoPro, but, you know, you can just stick this on like a sticker. You can stick it on anything. You could put it on your phone even, I'm sure, and use them there. As long as you can stick it onto something, you can you'll be able to utilize these ND filters on whatever camera equipment you have. Obviously, if you have a normal lens like this big, you can't put a little ND filter in the middle of it. But you can use this on pretty much anything, GoPros, action cams, and being self-sticked, it's not really necessarily specific to any one type of camera. And there are 3 on here now. I know it was kind of hard to see, but I did find some better pictures, so you can check them out here. You can see that there are 3 filters on here, and you can peel them off, and this is what it looks like as you peel each one off. And now, why would you need 3? Well, because, you know, you might put it on one day, but it doesn't. Let's say the next time you go to fly, it's cloudy. Well, then you got to peel it off. Now, I would save this to put it, you know, stick it back on here. But eventually, like any sticker, it's gonna lose its sticky. So now you got 3 of them. So as you're putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, if it kind of gets beat up or, you know, used up, you have another one ready to go, and you got 3 of them in total. So it's great value, and it, you know, really, it's something that is often overlooked, and usually I don't even care about because they're not. The biggest thing right now is because it's self-stick. Normally it's either just a little, like, here's a little piece of plastic that you need a frame to kind of hold it in place, or it's a piece of glass, or it's a, you know, obviously those have their place, but this is way universal, just being a sticker that you can peel it off, stick it on whatever you want, and off you go. So that's why I'm pretty excited about these. Now, with all of that said, look down at that bottom number and you see we are having some really good value here. We are just like pennies under $25 mark. Now, if you're new around the channel, super quick, my baseline is $20 because these are a mystery box. So as long as I get $20 of value over what I paid, then I'm willing to give up the choice of picking my products. I feel like that's a good exchange to get $20 of bonus value, but not get to pick out my products. I feel like that's a good place to be in. So when I get these mystery boxes, as long as I get $20 worth of value in them, I feel like that was really good deal because I got what I hoped for. If I got, like, let's say under that, like $15 or $10, I'm still coming out ahead, don't get me wrong, but I just start to feel like maybe it would have been better off just picking my own products versus whatever they wanted to send me that day. Anything over $20, and then I'm like, wow, this was like really lots of value in this box, and here we are just under $25. I'm just gonna call it $25. That's a good deal. And I'm really happy to see that because the last month for both FPV Crate and Quad Box was a little lackluster. This box is super awesome. Every single item in here I think is killer. You got the ND filters, you got the props, you got the flight controller, you got the t-shirt. It's like everything is usable, everything is stuff none of it I would consider junk. But I'm curious to hear what you would think. Please comment down below. Let me know your thoughts of these products. Let me know what you think because I'm thinking this is a pretty sweet box. I'm really happy about the value and I'm super excited to be a subscriber to the Quad Box. Now, if you're interested, please, if you're going to be making any purchases, go in the bottom here, check out the description. There's affiliate links for everything, for Quad Box, for products that I just use. And if you're thinking about making a purchase, please use those affiliate links down below. They do help support the channel. They do help me. And you know, this is a good time to try to help some people out. So it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does greatly help me out. So make sure you use those affiliate links. All right, guys. So as always, my name's Tronage. Fly strong.